mwana wanzeru makolo ali amuya mikira akutirinde lero mwana mene mwana wanzeru line o uyu linde lero mwana mene mwana wanzeru Agire gogo wana madingo zamu ya mikira kudi na madingo mwana me.
My people listen. Them lied to us from long time, but the truth done show now. Oh, Israelite right, Zion children right. Them say we nothing, but we be the chosen. From the Bible, the prophecy still spoken. Black man, native man with a holy tribe, but colonial hand tried to kill the vibe. Angels black, prophets black, the history clear, but Babylon system cover it for years. Now we shouting louder, the trumpet sound. Children of Jacob, we stand our ground. Billions are waiting for the message. Oh, oh, thousands they cry for the message. Hey, hey. Billions are hungry for the message. Yeah, yeah. This is the truth where the prophet don't bless. From Jerusalem to Africa, they scatter. We to the islands to the west in slavery. Change our names, put chain on our neck, but the covenant of Yah still they protect. It shall rule, but not Jacob time. End of the age, prophecy online. From the ghetto to the village, we testify. Israelites, we can never die. Billions are waiting for the message. Oh, oh. Thousands they cry for the message. Yeah, yeah. Billions are hungry for the message. Yeah, yeah. The truth of the Bible must reach every flesh. Who are the chosen? We are the chosen. Who are the children? We are the children. From Zion, from Judah, from Israel, we rise. Billions are waiting for the message. Oh, oh, Jews and they're thirsty for the message. Yeah, yeah. Billions are yearning for the message. Yeah, yeah. This is the truth and the whole world confess. No more lie, no more disguise. Israelite rise, we open our eyes. Billions are waiting, trumpet sound. True children of Zion, we are found. Sabi you history. No, you know Sabi. Dinky for black eki them seti. Me no dinky taki them sabi them be history. For them weti man beki we are thankful slavery. Wrong maliki now we baka isriketi now we neki. The four crack them sisafu we later we fesi. Boy te you den ki the Sunday jewani chepi wata elonga you I. Futena doti tide we dai baka weki we sefi dati wantaki you no sabi your history. Come makanda make you whistle before rain. Get them boy and them measure one boom for bell. Metakinanga them, inginanga them nenge one for me. Your mama na me mama, yes. Yeah, fire burn vanity. To the ghetto youths, to the single mothers, to the fathers that still I try. We salute you. Big up the real hard working people. Yeah. Some man get a work with a big paycheck. Look on the poor and show disrespect. Them say you're lazy, that's why you're there so low. But them never walking on the street.
All right, that is where I want to say a special greetings and welcome to all of you locked at this time.
Till the day is done, still
It's already 5 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock in Dominica.
still.
And yes, the regional space in which we live.
Big up the workers through the darkest night. No care them.
All of you who are there with us already, thank you very much for your eyes and ears each and every time.
Man, push through the system, do it.
Those of you further afield looking on and viewing, good evening to you.
You survive. Society trick we with vanity game. Tell we success is the money and fame. But
Whatever time of day it is at in your neck of the wood, a special greetings and welcome to you as well.
them never
Because we know with social media, yes, that space.
trying to keep your lock up. It's not cause you're lazy.
The world now, the blue marble, as I call it,
I'm still on your back.
it's basically like a village, as it were.
Never bow down.
Everything in real time through that space.
One day Babylon wall will fall and the meek shall
So welcome to yet another Civic Vibes program for yet another Sunday, the 14th of December, 2025.
the darkest night. No care them say you're not
This one is dedicated to all the struggling mothers, fathers, all the struggling people across the length and breadth of the Caribbean at this time.
till I try.
It's called Struggler from Steffa Productions.
People. Some man gets a work with a big paycheck. Look on the poor and show disrespect. Them say you're lazy, that's why
A very powerful, very inspiring, very motivating program awaits you guys this evening.
before the sun
So all I ask is that you keep it to the sport that you got.
feels while high.
Tell Lou to tell Sue, tell Paul to tell all
Still,
that yes, the Civic Vibes program is on.
still a fight. Big up the workers through the darkest night.
It's a program where you can participate.
Hold firm, your blessing can't stop. Salute the mothers, salute
You can participate on the live feed by plugging in your comments or calling in to 2 designated numbers, which I'll plug into the live feed sometime later.
society trick we with vanity game.
It's a conversation that we normally have here each and every Sunday from 6 o'clock.
Still broke.
Brother Alvin Thomas, the co-host for this program. Good evening to you, my bro. He's not here with us this evening,
Hold the system.
but I know he would love to.
It's not cause you're lazy, it's not cause you're slack. It's the chains of Babylon.
So all of you already there, Mali Austria, good evening to you.
I never bow.
Stephanie John Baptist and the rest, good evening. Viva Mamo.
The wall will fall and the meek shall inherit it all.
Nikki, good evening to you as well.
Fight. Big up.
Please share that live feed. Yes, please share that live feed.
Say you know they're on the top. Hold firm, your blessing can't stop. Salute
A
the
very important conversation awaits you guys this evening with none other than Dr. Cleon Athill out of Antigua and Bermuda.
you survive.
She's no stranger to Civic Vibes,
Of the real ones.
no stranger at all.
See drive at the market.
Brother Zed Lloyd, brother Zed Lloyd, good evening to you.
The mother
That is your type, Doug, your kind of conversation coming up,
just see.
where Dr. Cleon Athill will be speaking about citizen-driven governance versus the partisan type. That conversation, she's very, very passionate about it. I can tell you that. Estella Labas here in the house as well. Good evening to you. And to all of you locked into that space at this time, welcome, welcome, welcome.
The man push through the system, do what you can, them can.
Just before I ask our guest here, Dr. Cleon Athill, to say some words,
Society trick we with,
let me just tell all the sick and shorting out there, good evening to you guys.
but enough people rich and them souls still broke. Why
Those of you on hospital beds at this time, those of you who behind prison walls, good evening to you.
the system designed
Whatever situation that may be aching you at this time,
tire slack is the chains of Babylon still on your back.
there's hope, There's hope. So keep hope alive.
Hold on, righteous crown where you're wearing a tone. One day Babylon wall will fall and the meek shall inherit it.
Those of you who are struggling out there, struggling to make ends meet,
Big up the workers through the darkest night. No care them say
this song is specially dedicated to you guys out there entitled Struggler.
Salute the mother, salute the man. Push through the system, do where you can. Them can't judge success by the car where you drive through. Greatness is all you suffer.
Folks, we have a very important meeting happening at the Goodwill Parish Hall this evening. So yes, I'm monitoring that meeting, and as soon as I get any word from there in terms of the results,
Vanity.
I know you guys are patiently waiting.
Let me know.
The results of the United Workers' Party's Delegates Conference at the Goodwill Parish Hall ongoing as we speak. I was just informed that some persons who's holding various positions in the party, they spoke earlier this evening.
Show disrespect.
Or they spoke earlier this afternoon, rather.
But them never.
And the voting process may be, as we speak, on the way. The voting for the different positions of that party.
High, the struggles.
And the much contested one, I know that you guys are waiting for the results, is the leadership position, where Dr. Thompson Fontaine has been the leader for the past 3 years.
Firm, your blessing can't stop.
And Pastor Randy Rodney's name is in the bag as well, going up against Dr. Thompson Fontaine to be leader of the party, among the many other positions to be up for grabs later this evening. So yes, I'm monitoring that situation, and anything comes my way factually, that is, you will be the first to hear. So keep it locked, my people, keep it locked.
Never bow down. Righteous crown where you're wearing a tone. One day Babylon.
So without saying much more, it's already 12 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock. Let me move across to our very important guest here this evening from the Civic Vibes end, and say good afternoon to none other than Dr. Cleon Athill. Cleon, good evening to you in a very special way, and welcome.
Thank you for having me, Loftus. I'm always happy to be with you on Civics.
Civic Vibes, yes, Civic Vibes.
That's right, Civic Vibes.
How is it, Cleon? How is Antigua and Barbuda, where you are speaking to us from at this time? How is the people over there? The weather? Just give us a synopsis.
The weather it's been quite warm, quite humid. Today we had quite some showers, but it has been hot, very hot, you know. The evenings are rather cool though, well, cooler. But the days are pretty hot. People manage the very best way they know how, given the circumstances. You know, the economy, you know, people complain they don't have enough money in their pocket. Things can always be better, but that's life.
Yes, indeed, that is life. And we have to
make
do with life, yeah? All right, so how is Dr. Cleon herself? How have you been coping? How have you been keeping?
I've been doing very well. I keep busy. I keep myself busy with a lot of things. You know, I am an avid community person, you know, so I'm always looking for ways to add value to the change process, you know, to get involved in the development of our community, of our country. So I do my little bit the way I know how to.
You do your little bit the way how you know how to. And that's good.
Yes.
And that what you said is very powerful, because a lot of times, a lot of people, they normally look towards other people to do for them or do on their behalf, not realizing that each and every one of us has a responsibility to do for ourselves what we can.
And do for others too, you know, because we always, I mean, today we're talking about citizen and civic-centered governance. And so we're going to be focusing, I think, for the whole evening on, you know, expounding on how ordinary persons can contribute to the development of our country. So that's very important.
Yes, indeed. Citizens' activation, citizens' interest in what is happening. You know, basically the ordinary man taking an interest in what is happening in the country, so that at least they can be better, their fellow men, and the community. So,
the community, yes.
True.
Yes.
All right, let me just touch some other persons who just joined in, just tuned in here. Day Jojo, good evening to you. Everlasting Peter, Eliza Louise Gomes, and the host of you, good evening to you here, right here on the spot that you got, Civic Vibes. Again, let me just reiterate, there is an election going on as we speak. Read the United Workers' Party. I know you guys are waiting with bated breath as it pertains to the results of that election in terms of the delegates conference this afternoon, especially that of the leadership position of that party. I am monitoring that situation. I have some eyes and ears on the ground. And so once anything I get here and I can, verify it as facts, then you guys will be hearing just what has transpired at this delegates conference conducted by the United Workers Party, an opposition force, a formidable one at that, in the political arena in Dominica for some time. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. In the meantime and between time, if you're tuning in now, we're going to have this conversation with Dr. Cleonard Hill out of Antigua and Barbuda on the all-important aspect of citizens participating in their government or governance, as it were, versus that blind loyalty to party. I've heard her commented, I've heard her talked about, that situation before, and I felt the passion coming through her voice and the seriousness about that kind of conversation. So I introduced her, I suggested that she should be here, and she took up that mantle this afternoon, and she'll be sharing with us some things on her mind as it pertains to that topic here this evening. So again, Cleon, good evening to you, and again, welcome to that space, Civic Vibes. Welcome again.
Thank you, Loftus.
Yes. In private, we spoke of something that you have been engaging for the better part of the day. Can you just bring us abreast before we get into the conversation itself?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be part of the conversation anyway, because it is about citizen and citizen engagement. So today, for the greater part of the afternoon, I was involved in a project. Not a project, it's an initiative out in the St. Paul community, and we call it the St. Paul Community Pantry. Our St. Paul Community Pantry. And let me give you a little background as to how that came about, because that's quite important. We're going to see the whole issue or the concepts of citizen involvement and party interest. all in one.
Yes.
all into this concept here. So I believe you remember, Loftus, and your listeners, some of them might know, and surely if they're listening from Antigua, they would know that I contested the election in our last election, 2023. And coming into that election, out of my background as a youth development specialist and a community development specialist as well, having been involved in a lot of community and youth development initiatives across the years, I came in with a different kind of sensibility into the political arena. And I knew that there are a lot of things that I could not do, and there are other things I endeavored to do differently. And one of the things that I find very distasteful and anti-democratic is that whole concept of or practice of clientelism, treating bribery, particularly at election time. We're going to tie these all into party-driven politics, right? And making the case for our engagement to be more citizen-based and citizen-focused.
Yes, indeed.
And so I declared right at the onset my platform and my principles and values and so forth. And one of the things I said to my branch and to the people who are around me was that I'm not going to take part in any sort of bribery. And I said the same thing to my party as well. And that was not taken well at all, because of course we know that is the modus operandi across political parties. An election is called, or there is thought of an impending election. And so political parties come out with their, like trick-or-treating, they come out with their bag of tricks. And in their bag, stuffed with all sorts of things from in Antigua, ham and turkey, or other things like vouchers and sort of gifts. And if we begin to understand the importance of citizen power and citizen autonomy, then I think we should all also understand that these things are antithetical too. right? And so at the beginning, I declared I'm not going to do that. I won't do it. My party had given out a set of vouchers and I refused to take them. And that caused some workers in the party with me doing that. And also with the persons who are attached to the party in the branch. And so we had a tete-a-tete, a frank discussion about that I'm not doing it. And so the discussions about, yes, you are, but in the community, there is need. And I said, yes, I know there is need, but community need is community business. And community need ought to be addressed by community people, way outside of out of the political grasp. And so a few persons gathered and we fleshed out the idea some more as to how we can mobilize a community into addressing community needs in a community development, sustainable kind of way. And so we toyed around with a lot of ideas about how to meet the needs of the community in this way. We thought of a community shop where people can just, ordinary people in the community can bring things into the shop, and persons in a time of greatest need can just simply come into the shop and shop without money. That didn't go down too well because, of course, we need to have the physical structure of a building, and that we didn't have that. And so the next idea that we fleshed out was to open accounts at various supermarkets in the community. And ordinary persons like you and I, Loftus, would simply go and tell the attendant that they want to deposit their spare change. They do a pledge to these accounts. And people in the community would just, at the time of need, when they need it most, would go and draw down on these. But of course, you can see how that might be kind of cumbersome to manage as well.
Yes.
And so we kind of fleshed out some other ideas, and somebody said, why not a pop-up? Pop-up. Just go to the various communities, pitch a tent, tell the community what you're doing, engage persons, ask for donations, persons bring their whatever they can afford, and they come and bring them on the table. And that's what we've been doing for over 4 years now. So every third Sunday, this is not third Sunday, I'll tell you why. Every third Sunday, from since July of 2021, we have a pop-up. We move around in the community at various places and we just pitch a tent or we have a table, spread it out, and persons would bring things and put it on the table. And we just come into the country space, and you come and you take things and you bring things, and that is our community pantry. So we have been doing that for the last, as I said, 4+ years. It's going pretty well. Today was our Christmas pantry, and we moved it up a little bit from the third Sunday to the second Sunday, which is today, because next week is another initiative. It's our farmers market. That's another initiative. So today we had a whole big spread of food stuff. We had vegetables, we had toiletries, we had clothes, we had meat, eggs, food. And they went. So today was a good day. Today was a very good day at Pantry. We have persons coming in, persons sharing. It's a wonderful space to be. I would like to encourage persons who are listening, particularly those from Antigua, of course, those in Dominica, and wherever you are, that community needs to begin to understand that as a community, we need to look out for each other. And how can we pool our resources for the betterment of each other? Building resiliency, being responsive to needs, sharing love and concern, all of those things. And we complain bitterly all the time that our community spirit is dwindling. And we need to get ahead of it, address it, and find things to do. And each of us has gifts. Each of us has things that we can contribute. It doesn't have to, the contribution need not be a pantry, or the contribution need not be a big thing. Like I would have said time again, that I remember our very, very first pantry. A lady came into the pantry space and she brought 2 items. One was a Vitamalt and the other was a thing, 2. And she said, from my pantry to yours. or to ours. And she gave those two things. Another lady, another pantry time, she broke off a twig of bay leaf that you put in porridge. It doesn't
Yes.
matter what. Whatever you have to bring, you bring it to the pantry space, and people are willing. Anything you bring, bicycle, toys, vitamins, it doesn't matter, sheet, curtains, towels, all of these things we've had. Goat meat, chicken,
Wow.
all of these things we've had in our pantry. And most of these things are donated by people in the community, persons in the diaspora are catching on to, and from time to time they will sell us a barrel or so. But pantry is about community. Massaging community sense of responsibility, social responsibility for each other, caring. So that's what we do. So I was there today, and so I'm feeling very happy.
Wow,
We did
and
good.
I can sense, I can feel that happiness
Yes,
coming
yes.
through
It
in
was,
terms
it was
of
a
your
wonderful day at
utterances here.
Pantry today. It was a wonderful, wonderful day. Yep.
All right, Cleon, thank you in terms of that update as to what you and some of your guys over there in Antigua and Barbuda were up to for the better part of the earlier part of the day. Let me just say at this time, Cleon, just a little break from you speaking now. Let me just give the listeners, as I told you guys, I've been monitoring that election at this delegates conference where the United Workers Party is concerned at the Goodall Parish Hall. I can tell you based on my sources there that Dr. Thompson Fontaine was re-elected the leader of the United Workers Party. As to the votes, the numbers, the count itself, I'm still working on that, and let's hope I can get that before the end of the program to you guys. But what I'm getting in terms of the facts on the ground, at that delegates conference, Dr. Thompson Fontaine was re-elected leader of the United Workers Party. He contested against the other contestant was Pastor Randy Rodney. I'm being told as well that Randy Rodney, his name was placed on the floor or was nominated to be deputy leader of that party when in his quest for leader was unsuccessful. And I'm being told he declined to be nominated to be deputy leader of the party. Again, Dr. Thompson Fontaine, I want to repeat, has been re-elected leader of the party, and Randy Rodney declined to be the deputy nominated of that party. So folks, I'm monitoring that situation. As soon as any other information comes through, factually that is, I will push it to you guys out there. Thanks, Cleon. I just had to sort of interrupt you for just a bit here because of people in Dominica, they are anticipating that result here. So thank you indeed for your time. Yes. All right, Cleon, we have to talk about the citizens in terms of their participation in their country, where governance is concerned, where the politicking is concerned. Where and how do you want to start, Cleon?
I think we can start with a simple concept of understanding what a citizen is or who a citizen is. I think, and our responsibilities and so forth. I think sometimes we don't necessarily begin to understand that concept. We know that we're people, we're individuals, but we're also citizens as well. I mean, we live in a very defined space with a government. And so we are citizens of a political space. And as a citizen, we have rights and we have responsibilities, all of us. And so as a citizen, you have rights, all of the rights that are enshrined in our Constitution and rights enshrined in other instruments like the human rights, the Bill of Rights. And of course, we have serious obligations about, participation, yes, keep the law. We have obligations about being decent. We need to work, contribute taxing to the taxes, contribute to the development of the country. And then we also have a responsibility to support the government. And we're going to talk about the difference between government and political administration, because there's a difference. And of course, we're entitled to its protection. So citizens in a country, and we have rights and responsibilities, and that are enshrined in certain legislative documents or legislative provisions. And we also are entitled to enjoy the protection of the state or the protection of the government. So we need to understand that first and foremost, we are citizens.
And citizens play or should play a very important role in the in where the country goes in terms of the governance.
Certainly. The citizen has serious role in how the government, in how the country is run or progresses. Our collective inputs contribute to the development of the country. Just as in a house, right? We have work to do. So all of our inputs contribute. And as all of the inputs contribute, what I do in my house, what I do in my community contributes to either supporting the forward movement of the country or contributes to the dragging back of the country. So we either promote the country, push it forward, or we stymie development. So all of us need to begin to understand how our individual input contributes, how our individual input does not contribute. So, for example, if I work, that is contributing because taxes, contributes to the GDP. It contributes. So if I work, if I am kind, it contributes because we often forget these things as well. If I'm kind, if I'm considerate to my neighbor, it contributes to the forward movement because that contributes to what we call social cohesion.
Yes.
And social cohesion is very important at community level, for example. It makes us feel safe. When people feel safe, they work better, they sleep better, and that has an input or impact on a thing like immune health. Right?
Indeed.
So, for example, if I don't work, then that contributes that contributes in a negative way as well, right? Because it means that somebody's in the country, in the community, their input is now going to be responsible for my upkeep, whether or not we like to believe it is true, right? So all of us must contribute in a particular way or in specific ways. Now, if I steal, it's obvious to see that that's going to contribute negatively to development. So all of us, we contribute, and it doesn't matter if we're big or small. So we can even begin to help our children understand the importance of citizenry, the importance of our individual input. Little children,
yes,
by going to school, by being obedient to their parents, by being considerate of their peers. All of these things collectively contribute to as the Chinese call it, qi, the energy of the space. It contributes to the culture of the space. And all of these things collectively contribute to what we call, I think Martin Luther called it our beloved community. Then we have to understand that concept that all of us has a responsibility to contribute to the energy of the space. And we do contribute. There is no contributing. All of us contribute, whether or not we like to think we do. You're driving up the road fast, you contribute. How do you contribute in a negative way? You may get an accident.
Yeah.
It draws on the hospital, health services. Somebody may die. You contribute to people feeling unsafe on the road. So all of us have a responsibility, and that's what I want us to get out of this, at least at the beginning, the whole understanding of citizen citizenry, and how each of us has a moral responsibility to do what we can in the time we have, wherever we are, we contribute to that space.
Yeah.
We
All
have
right.
responsibility.
Yes. Where and how, clear do you think that sort of education or inculcation supposed to start that you speak of?
It starts at home. Everything kind of starts at home, but we're going to come back to the home part.
Yeah.
It should start at home, but then when we say it starts at home, we are making certain assumptions. We're making assumption that parents understand what we're talking about and parents know how to guide and so forth. Oftentimes, parents don't know. So we have other institutions like school that are in a better position to teach certain things sometimes than the home is. And so we want to have some sort of effort in school. I remember in the old time days, we used to have civics, and we say we don't have civics anymore. But children need to be taught how to be good citizens, how to be kind, how to be gentle and considerate, how to be truthful, how to be honest, how to be dutiful, how to be productive. Um, and they learn these things at home, and then they supported when they go out of the home, they are supported at school. But then we're talking about a culture, and children can't learn more than the culture teaches, right? So we have to ask a question: how is our society, or how are our respective societies set up to teach these values? How? I don't know. Because oftentimes adults, you and I, adults in society, are the ones who are responsible for passing on these values to the next generation. And if we look at our adults sometimes, even our political leaders, sometimes we know that they're lacking. Sometimes their actions don't match, sometimes they're very violent, callous. And then we want our children to be other than. So if we're talking about citizen and citizenry and teaching civics and so forth, then we all of us have responsibility. There's no opting out. I remember having this conversation with somebody the other day about, he was saying that, he's not involved. He's just not, he doesn't care. And I have to say to him, in a country with a closed system, there's no opting out. You can't opt, even if you opt out, that opt out has an important impact on the society. And so if you're having an impact, then your question is, what impact should I have? What impact? Because you are going to have an impact. So what impact? And I would think that all of us are sensible enough to say that, yes, I want to have a good impact. That's all of us should want to have a good impact, and then find ways and means of having that impact. So the place we start is home, by teaching.
And do you see that sort of attitude in terms of citizens taking up their role and doing more for community, doing more for people in general? Do you see this impacting in a good way the community in a whole?
I see that we're kind of, well, let me say this. I'm going to go back. Because we often lament times past, and we say, oh, when we were young in the old time days, we used to be able to leave our houses open. When we were young, we used to sweep our sidewalk. When we were young, people used to come over and beg us some sugar. When we were young, children used to respect. And we shift now and we say things are different. And so for me, I'm also a social scientist. I'm a social psychologist, right? And so I have a serious interest in collective behavior. And so when we look and see that the shift, then we have to account for the shift. What it is that is allowing us to see that difference. What it is, what is it? And I have narrowed it down to one thing: politics. So you see how these things are linked.
Yeah.
I've seen, because what I found in our communities is that politicians and politicking, political maneuvering, political treating, political gifting have have replaced citizen power, have replaced citizen autonomy, have replaced people's sense of I can and I will. Because some politicians are going to be coming into the community and they're going to be doing it for them, they're going to be giving. So people now have learned, it's like a sense of learned helplessness. Of course, to the advantage of the politician, to the detriment of three things actually, to the detriment of the individual citizen, to the detriment of community, and to the detriment of national development, and to the detriment of democracy. So we need to begin to look at those things, right? Again, I'm going to connect back to my own approach when I ran for politics. So one of the things I did, all during COVID, COVID came and we were locked down. And so we had to shift. Well, I shifted. I ran on a community development model. That was my model. And so when COVID hit, we shifted into a Zoom virtual meetings.
Yeah.
And so every Thursday we had meetings, and it wasn't a political meeting. It was community building meeting. And I remember some of the discussions we had was around citizen power and the vote. And person would say, why you want to say those things? Why you want to engage like that? Because to them it means then I won't have that power with the citizens. But I think we often miss the point that when citizens are strong, it makes for stronger representation. We often miss that both. So we spoke about citizen power, citizens' right, citizens' engagement, and we also spoke of the politicians coming into the community. And I call it in a mining principle. I wanted to hear the word. So they have a mining principle, like an extraction. Go into the hills or whatever, and you mine. So politicians have a mining concept. They come into the community and they mine that community as if they're prospecting for gold. And they mine it. They extract the power. They extract the people's sense of autonomy. They walk away with it, feeling very empowered. But the people are now denuded. The people have now become depowered, right? Or disempowered. Now the politicians walk out feeling nice and big because now they have the people. But now the people now are running behind the politicians in a very needy way. And the politicians now feel powerful and they give. They give to who they want to give. And the people feel very dehumanized. And so I think we need to get that. And when the people begin to understand really the power is theirs, they have the power. And they often give over that power to the politician. And then they run behind the politician for all the other kind of things for 5 years. Right? The politician promising things for 5 years, not giving or giving very little. Right? And then flush them again, the flush principle, flush them again in 5 when the elections come in, build up their expectations to do the very same thing again, to go in again and mine. The people need to begin to understand that dynamic. It's a very detrimental dynamic. It's disempowering, and it undermines democracy because now people now don't feel a sense of agency. So we go back again to the point you asked. So communities now don't look after themselves because why should they?
True, true.
The politicians will do it.
One of
The
the
politicians, go ahead.
Yes, yeah. One of the situations I want to draw to your attention, Cleon, as we're on that note, is that in terms of the disempowerment, after the citizen has given that power, as it were, through their vote to that politician, what I'm getting on the ground, why some citizens feel disempowered is that, hey, I gave politician A my vote, but I did that from a conscious level, a bribe level, or whatever it is, but I gave it singularly to that politician, let's say politician A. Now, down the road, politician A, as you said, rightly so, they left with that power from that citizen. We're talking to one citizen still. Down the road, that one citizen would want now to take back that power, as it were, from politician A. But going to that politician on a singular level, like they did in the ballot box, in the ballot box, it is not the same equation. No. Politician A will now or might now dehumanize them or degrade them or let them feel less than or whatever it is, because you're coming to complain to me, hey, my street light is not working, the road has potholes. And that is where some of the citizens now have that problem. It is by combining the efforts together, which is where the struggle is to retain that power. That is where I believe, based on the communications of people on the ground, that is where the struggle is. So can you help us sort of navigate that area there as to the citizen giving their power and trying to take back that power, as it were?
Yeah, and that's quite interesting, and it's also quite fishy as well, because something happens. I call it conversion. Right? So political parties have successfully converted citizen power into party power. I want you to hear what I'm saying. Right? Party power is synonymous with collective national development country, but parties have successfully converted citizen power into party power. So parties have now made citizens their, what we call now, their army.
Okay.
Parties have converted citizens into their grown army, their foot soldiers.
So now they are referred to as that.
Right. So citizens now don't have interest in state. Citizens now don't have interest in national. Citizens now have interest in party. That is part of the power. Citizens have interest in party. And the funny thing about it, or the interesting thing about it, or the sad thing about it, sad is a better word, is that our political space has now become so toxically divisive or partisan. So we have our parties, and the parties have their foot soldiers, and to support, well, because the parties now are mobilizing around their own interest, the parties are now mobilizing citizen energy for their own interest. There's no longer mobilizing citizens for community interest, because community is now split down the middle. Community is now in Antigua and Barbuda is either red or blue. I think it's the same thing in Dominica. I mean, I have an interest right across the Caribbean. It's the very same thing. Right across the Caribbean, we have now parties have taken over, and people are now loyal. Now, remember, we started out with that concept of citizen. So now we no longer have citizen. We have party people.
Yeah.
And party people and citizens are the same.
True.
Right? Because very often, and sometimes, political parties may do things that are contrary or do things that are not in keeping with national development. Or parties may stifle an initiative that is for national development if it makes them look small. And that's something we need to talk about too. The whole dynamic between the parties and the ruling party and the opposition party. And we see how that dynamic totally divides community. It divides families as well. It divides community. Communities don't work together. You can't get people to come out if they think that a particular initiative is supported by a particular party. They are coming out to support it, because if that particular initiative succeeds, it's a feather in the cap for whichever party. That's a problem. And I find that a very big problem, because that is one of the things that is dividing communities. One of the things is stymieing development at community level. Community people not working together. I was a civil servant for a very, very long time, right? I started off as a teacher, then I was the director of youth, and in that capacity as director of youth for a long time, which is why I know some of your people in Dominica loved us. Okay. I know people like Patsy Latong and Jules Pascal, yes, and so forth.
Yeah. These people deal with directly the young people, yes.
That's right. So when we come out and we have programs for the young people in communities, sometimes you can actually see people not taking part because it's government, and this government is either the UPP in government or it's the ALP in government. And so that is the problem. That is a serious problem we have in the Caribbean. And we need, as a Caribbean people, we need to begin to say, it has to stop. And it has to stop with me. How do we get beyond that? How do we, I would say, how do we undo that? How do we undo it and begin to tell ourselves that I'm a citizen, I love my country, I will do whatever I can to make sure my country succeeds. And sometimes that means activism. Sometimes that means civil disobedience. Of course it does, sometimes, because of course, part of our part of our responsibility as a citizen is to hold the government accountable, to hold elected officials accountable, to hold political parties accountable. And sometimes we have to withhold our participation. Sometimes we have to shine the light. Sometimes we have to do things. But these things, we have to be very mindful that our action serves the greater good of the community, not just for the political party.
Yes, indeed. Folks, it is 7 minutes to the hour of 7 o'clock. If you're tuning in now, you're a bit late, but rather late than ever. We're talking to Dr. Cleon Hill out of Antigua and Barbuda, and we're discussing this all-important topic versus citizens' participation in the democracy, in the country's development versus the partisan nature of things that we have accustomed or we have known in the region for some time. That is the topic under discussion here this evening, and I'll be plugging the numbers in the feed so that you can make a call if needs be sometime later in the program. We're going to take a break in the next 5 minutes thereabout, so please stay tuned for that in just a bit. Just to tell us here, I got some more information factually, that is. Let me just see if I can break that
party news
to you guys. Cleon, I apologize for, sort of stemming your flow a little bit.
That's fine.
As I said before, Dr. Thompson Fontaine was re-elected the leader. Ronald Charles The deputy leader, I'm being told, elected. Claudia Sanford was elected the president of that party. The votes that were tabulated at the end of the leadership contest between Pastor Randy Rodney and Dr. Thompson Fontaine, it is 83 to 75, I've been told. So Pastor Randy Rodney got 75 votes. So he lost to a mere 8 votes to Dr. Thompson Fontaine. So again, that is what I have in terms of the details emanating from that delegates conference so far. Anything else? I will push it your way before the end of the program. Doc, sorry about that. In terms of anything else you want to punch on the table before we go, what about Doc? Persons, as you said, give over, or they transfer, rather, that's a better term I want to use, transfer their power vested into a man or woman, which we call politicians. After that, it seems like these citizens go to sleep. And basically, the politician now decides the price of bread, the quality of air that they breathe, the price of toilet paper, and the like. How do you want to encourage these citizens after they have done that transferal of the vote?
I just stop me on that one, because I think that if you're a conscious citizen, then you know that you didn't transfer your power.
Yeah.
Right? So you didn't transfer the power. You voted, but you didn't transfer the power. How we have our political culture now, it is the transfer of power. And so people automatically believe that once I elect a politician and my MP, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do anything. I just have to wait. I have to big them up. I have to cuss the other side because it's not my people. So that's the other role. I cuss them. I support my people, and I sit and lie low and wait for 5 years. That is a model we have. And that's not a good model. We're talking about democracy. We say democracy is people by the people, whatever. We have representative democracy. And yes, perhaps representative democracy kind of lends to that kind of idea that you elect somebody and then they are your representative. They speak on your behalf. But conscious citizenry would dictate that there is always room, there's always scope for engagement, right? And so I would say to young people who have interest in coming into the political space, and even the old people who are there now, for us to begin to rethink how we engage the citizenry, and even begin to rethink how we think about representativeness. You represent people when you know them. You know their issues. You know their concerns. What sort of mechanisms are in place at community level for politicians, for representatives to understand, to know the citizens? Hardly ever. So once you vote for somebody, the person is high and mighty, they know all, they go to parliament, they don't even consult. There's no consultation. There is no engagement. The engagement is at the level of the what, at the level of the gimme, at the level of, that is engagement. And so the people are forever feeling beholden to, because the politician nice, the politician give me things, the politician, and all of that is building up, of course, to what the politician expects to happen next go around a vote. You see? So we have to begin to talk about how do we engage. And so conscious citizens who want better, citizens who understand what citizenship really is, and the goal of citizenship, the focus of citizenship is on the state and on the national interest and national good, collective good, need to begin to organize, magnify their power, which is what you're doing here, Loftus. So we're talking about how do we engage citizens? How do we educate? How do we build that sense of consciousness? How do we undo some of the harm that has been done, in our political culture by the way politics is done? How do we link with other organizations in our in our country so that we can build a mass of conscious people? How do we communicate across the sea? Loftus, we have had, of course, the movement. I'm part of the movement. And we've had you in our space from time to time, talking about some of these issues. So we need to do that more and more and more across the Caribbean, build an alliance of conscious citizenry so that we can begin to take that power and be more directive, be more impactful on this on the governance of the country outside of just vote, because our voting culture is based on across the Caribbean. I know in Antigua and Barbuda, our voting culture is based on bribery. Our voting culture is based on clientelism. Our voting culture is based on treating. In Antigua and Barbuda, you see the road being dug up, for example. Are we talking about how sitting governments change states' resources into party resources? All of that is wrong. So for example, you see the extra work going on. People say, "Oh, election coming." You see something happen. Oh, election coming. So we're talking about how do we build a conscious citizenry? How do people know their rights? How do people get involved? How do people hold the government accountable? And then when the politicians come into your space at election time, how do you engage? Beyond saying, "How will you bring me now? 10 vote in my house. How will you give me now?" So over the years, the citizens have I'm saying citizens. I want to not say citizens, but I'm going to say citizens. Over the years, the citizens in the country have begun to associate election with a time where they can be getting things from politicians. And that's what elections have become, a time to get. As old people say, a time for dig out them eye. Right? And that is sad.
A time to dig out the eye.
You don't know the term?
Yes. But basically, digging out the eye, it is your resources. It is our resources. It is our resources.
You go there, you get them for what you can get. Because of course, again, that means the people are not feeling the input or the impact of the politician. And so they wait until this particular time when they have something, some currency, they have something that they can trade, and they capitalize on that, which is the vote. And so we need to do a lot of things around electoral reform. A lot of things around election reform. Or how do we engage in the political space at election time? Code of conduct for election, for candidates, election campaign financing of political parties. All of these things have bearing on what we're talking about. How citizens are engaged, how citizens are respected. How do we draw down on citizen power to turn that over into some sort of machinery that drives national development? We have a long way to go.
A very long way. Thank you very much, Cleon. So far, so good. Believe it or not, we already on the hour mark, 7 o'clock. We have like another half an hour, 45 minutes with our guests here. So, folks, yes, we're going to take that all-important break at this time, and then we will sort of engage you in terms of your calls, comments, or commentaries. All right? Thank you very, very much indeed. Let's do this. We'll be back in just a bit. The mighty Sparrow calls this one a good citizen.
When does someone really become a good citizen? I'd like to know for sure. Why, when the ordinary man disagrees with the establishment, they call it treason. Why should they persecute a brother for seeking black power? Don't they know a blind man could see that this is blatant hypocrisy? The real traitors and them are all high in society. Yet the government protecting all of them and penalizing you and me. And in a million different ways they violate the law. It's the same good no good bastards who oppress the poor. They sell in black market, making excess profit, paying a starvation salary. These good citizens are the architects of economic slavery.
Shouting out all of you who are here with us this evening.
They say you have the right to criticize, but then you are victimized. And without any reason. Many a time you find yourself politically paralyzed by that same good city. Yet these fakes and phonies enjoy a long life of luxury while they spread corruption throughout the country. When they should be arrested, they're protected and respected in this society. And in a million different ways, they violate the law. It's the same good, no good past.
Yes, folks, thank you very much for your eyes and ears each and every time.
Declaration, tax evasion,
we're having a very important conversation here on the Vibes. Talking about citizens' participation in their country's future.
Profit paid a starvation salary. These good citizens are the architects.
And our guest here is none other than Dr. Cleon Artilo out of Antigua and Barbuda. So far, so good in terms of our execution. The numbers to call in 245-2396. They are on your screen as we speak, or 615-9470. These are the numbers to get your voice or voices in at this time.
They say you have the right to criticize, but then you are victimized.
Again, those of you now tuning in, a bit late, but rather late than never.
Many a time you
monitoring the United Workers' Party Delegates Conference earlier.
By that same.
I can report to you guys that Dr. Thompson Fontaine was re-elected the leader of that party. 83 votes to 75 went to Pastor Randy Rodney, the contender.
Arrested, they're protected and respected in this society, and in a million different ways they violate.
I can also confirm to you as well in terms of the proceedings that Pastor Randy was basically nominated to be the deputy leader of that party in terms of the nomination, but he declined that nomination. And so as a result, it was put to the vote, and Ronald Charles is now the new deputy of that party. Mr. Claudia Sanford is the president. So as soon as anything more comes to hand, I will let you know before we end the program tonight. Again, congratulations to Dr. Thompson Fontaine and the United Workers' Party team, the United Workers' Party team.
They say you have the right to criticize, but then you are victimized, and without any reason. Many a time you find yourself politically paralyzed by that same good city. Yet these fakes and phonies enjoy a long life for luxury while they spread corruption throughout the country. When they should be arrested, they're protected and respected in this society. And in a million different ways, they violate the law.
In a million different ways, they violate the law, says Sparrow in song.
With a false declaration, tax evasion, defrauding customs duty.
Brother Zed Lloyd, good evening to you, my brother.
Of economic slavery.
Maury Jules, you're there as well, and the host of you guys on the feed. One more verse, and we get back to our guest here, Dr. Cleon Artil, in just a bit.
They specialize. Double deals, they idolize. If you're brave enough to open your mouth and criticize, one time you are ostracized and or victimized. Still they go unpunished and unaccused of any crime, while on the backs of the ordinary man these vultures climb. They use the riches and the power, make a mockery of the law, and have the law protect them same time. In a million different ways they violate the law. It's the same.
All right, folks, it is 10 minutes past the hour of 7 o'clock, and now let's get back to our guest here, Dr. Cleon Artil. She's here basically having a conversation with us tonight, citizens participating in their country's development versus this sort of partisan nature that we have seen of late, especially in our regional space, Dominica, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. A matter of fact, Cleon, politics these days has become basically, as you rightly said it, a business where the citizens wait for that time to sort of cash in. Yeah, would you agree?
Me?
I say the citizens basically wait at this time for, as you alluded to earlier, for them to cash in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw in the lines in St. Vincent just before the elections whereby some persons were waiting outside courts. And it is alleged, I wasn't on the ground, I cannot, factually give a count here, but it was alleged that persons were waiting to step inside courts the day before the polls. And a particular politician basically was footing the bill for refrigerators and appliances and sofas and whatever it is that these persons went in there for at that business place. Dominica, I can tell you, it's showing up its head. Antigua as well. I saw some videos, some pictures emanating from Antigua where monies have been dished out. And it's a whole sort of CO mentality where the people get politically drunk around that time. And so at the end of the day, the process itself that's supposed to be the cornerstone of our country's democracy, our country's future, is basically just, sort of, just be decreased to that sort of business-like activity.
It is wrong. It is. I mean, we have in Antigua and Barbuda, I'm sure, because all of the laws in the Caribbean seem to, similar. So in Antigua and Barbuda, we have the representation of the People's Act.
Mm-hmm.
I know we have the same thing in Dominica, because about 3 years ago, when a few of your countrymen brought the treating case to the fore, I was very much interested in that case. And so I know that on your books, just like we have in our books in Antigua and Barbuda, we have provisions. We have a law against treating. It is covered in the Representation of the People's Act.
Now, just one question before you go, Cleon.
Yes.
Was there any time that this treating law, as it were, treating and by bribery, was challenged in Antigua and Barbuda as to attempting to remove it from the hooks?
No, which is why I was hoping and praying that precedents would have been set in Dominica. Mm-hmm. I was literally praying. I was following that case, right? I think that somebody needs to challenge it because as you said, voting is the cornerstone of democracy. And when that process is compromised, is corrupted, as it is or will be, when we allow cheating and bribery and so forth, we're talking about corruption of our own democracy. It's stymieing. I call treating the bane, I call it evil. It's a bane of our democracy. So we have, as you said, people are lining up outside courts. In Antigua and Barbuda, politicians will literally come around and give you things. They will literally come in your house and give you, or they will drop. I remember in the old time days, or time gone by, they will come around with a ham and turkey and give it in your hand. And I suspect some people may refuse. And now you get up in the morning and they're not giving it in your hand anymore. You find a ham and turkey outside your gap. Right? Or you get voucher. So you have one party giving ham and turkey, one party giving food voucher and chicken. Same thing. And so we need as a people to begin to understand what happens when we accept bribe. Now, a lot of us in the Caribbean say that we are religious people, right? And I would suggest to all of us that we go in our Bibles that we love so much and like to quote from. You see, we like to quote the thing we want to quote. But if we go in the Bible, we would see that in the Bible, there is a lot said about bribery. Not only that, accepting. So in Antigua and Barbuda, we love to say, oh, take them some and yam them out. But even taking a bribe defile, it does something to the psyche.
True,
so
true.
I would say, don't take it. Because once you take it, it does something to the taker. Now, one of the things that I believe needs to happen is that, in addition, apart from some bold person taking the matter to court and calling out and so forth, apart from that, there needs to be reform and a relook at how we think of bribery. Because in our acts, in the Representative People's Act, I think both the briber and the bribee will be held criminally liable.
Yes, accountable, yes.
Right? So something needs to happen so that it makes it easier for charges to be brought against that. Right? And so that's what I'm saying. Something needs to happen that we know that a politician can come around and give, or that somebody can come around and beg, or to at least in an extortionate kind of way. People will say, for example, oh, when you come in, make sure you bring something because it's 6 votes in this house. Or tells you when she come good because it's 10 votes in this house. I remember in the last election, somebody literally had something and say, oh, if you want my vote, hold up a thing. If you want this vote, bring the money and come. So we're getting callous like that, very, very callous, and without understanding that we are doing a disservice to ourselves as a people in terms of our development, but we are also undermining the process of democracy. Something needs to happen. So the people need to be aware, on the lookout, and I think that young politicians, need to be bold and say no, they're not doing it. And I'm telling you, it's going to be hard, because I said no. And my party didn't treat me nice because I said no, right? One of the reasons why I came out. So we have to say no. If we're talking about we want our country to be better, and the political party is like a vehicle to getting us to that better place, then you can't play bad politics and then when you go in, be good. It works so.
True.
Right? So we have to be good. We have to play decent politics. And part of decent politics is playing by the rules, making it free and fair, being people of integrity, understanding that bribery is an assault on the personhood of the person, as well as an assault on democracy. We need to say those things. We need to stand by them, and we need to walk our talk. Too many people in our country have nice, fancy things to say in public, and then without any intention of making their actions match their words.
Yeah. Cleon, I'm hearing you. I am in agreement with you, but the question to you is, do you think we have gone too far as countries in the region now where these things are practiced and we are sort of on an irreversible track? Because I can tell you.
I don't think it's too far. I mean, I don't think nothing is ever too far because we have life, right? And of course, once there's life, this can be changed. I think when I run my campaign on those values, I think a lot of persons respected that. And out in my constituency, I saw change. People want change, but they want somebody to step out and be bold enough to champion the changes. So that's just a little example. But if we take another big example, we can look at Singapore. Singapore is a small, just a small area, a small country. And the Singapore people, or if you follow the history of Singapore, corruption was endemic, bad. They did something consciously to change. So people can change, but we need people with vision, fortitude, integrity, and people will follow. But our leaders need to be people of integrity. And that's one of the things about citizenship. We need to ask ourselves, what country do we need? What sort of country do we need to build? What country do we need to leave to our children? And how do we get there? What is my responsibility for that vision? What is my responsibility? Because too many of us want. And again, I'm blaming our political culture because it has it has crippled. It has kind of engendered a kind of learned helplessness. People don't feel they can change. People don't feel they can do anything to change. But people can. We all can. None of us were born with this that's inalienable, whatever the word is. The inherent power to change.
Yes.
We are wise. We have a brain. We have energy. We can think and reason. The thing about that, though, conversion, is that when we join political parties, all of these powers become usurped, become converted and turned over to party effort.
Yep.
So we no longer see what we see to the eyes of the blue, or we see to the eyes of the red. The party reality becomes our reality. The party's voice becomes our voice. The party's bias, the party's venom also become our venom. The party rhetoric becomes our own. So the people now have been converted into autonomous beings, into parrots. And that is sad.
So
into foot soldiers, into parrots.
Yeah. So do you think now, Cleon, that a political party can start afresh with some of the things that you're suggesting and survive in the environment?
But of course, I think so. I think people need to be bold. People need to be grounded. That's the first thing. You have to be grounded. Like when I left my party, I said, what is the political what is the ideology for this party? I don't know up to now. What is the change theory? I don't know up to now. Don't know. So some people just come in and put themselves together because they want to be in power. That's a whole other thing too. I want to be in power. I want to rule. I want to have access to state resources. I want to fan my feather. I want to be able to access resources so I can have money, I can have wealth, I can be in a position to ditch out to whom I see, want, that kind of stuff. But I'm talking about people who want change and serious change, who love their country, can be a force to reckon with. History is replete with examples. We can look at those examples. We can take counsel from those examples. Right? And if we're in political parties, perhaps we need to huddle like-minded people. You see, but then again, political parties are so sometimes very toxic themselves, so very resistant to change, don't allow for difference, don't allow for diverse views, right? And so it is difficult sometimes in political parties to have new voices rising, to have new ideas rising. And so even now, you may be hearing my voice, you have an interest in politics, perhaps a political party that's established may not accommodate you. So maybe we can have discussions and people in communities can begin to see that they can form a party. Or they can be apolitical, not necessarily belonging to a party, be country-minded, be national-minded, and have that as their lens, right? And the political parties that are there, then they will assess the political parties based on their nationalistic markers and ask yourself, is this political party, will this political party be the best party in terms of my vision for Antigua and Barbuda? Will this party be good for Antigua and Barbuda? What about its leadership? What about how it engages citizens? You know, what are its principles? And some of these things political parties don't talk about, so we don't know what the principles are. Because to say, for example, people first, what does that mean? That is just a slang.
True.
But when
true.
you look sometimes at the behaviors and the attitudes and the practices of some of these parties that have these nice slangs, their action belie their slangs. So people need to be conscious. People need to be vigilant. We are citizens first.
Yeah, indeed. Just to sort of, put a little more flesh on that aspect of the conversation, clear. We are seeing during our political campaigns this sort of lavishness that goes on with resources, and sometimes the resources of the state.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is resources of people with deep pockets, companies with deep pockets that can basically call the shots after they buy an election in a wholesale manner. We are seeing the music, the entertainment, the drinks, the perks, the scholarships, the building materials, the appliances, it is every year. I think the politicians are trying to outdo the previous year. So
yeah.
So it is really hard, and that is why I keep pounding at you that scenario, that question, whether you think rather that we have gone too far to come back or pull ourselves out of that quagmire politically that we have found ourselves, because our young people in particular, these are the sort of game changers as it pertains to the direction in which our country ought to go. But blindly slow, so that is, our young people find themselves engaging and indulging in this sort of party-like atmosphere without even taking into consideration the future of the country.
The young people is the political parties and the politicians put these things out, But I certainly agree with you.
So how much blame now, or not blame, but how much share of that situation would you want to place now on the, as you called it before, the bribee or the person accepting? Because if these politicians come and they suggest or they offer, it is up to the citizen to say yes or no. And so how much now would you want to inject what you're saying into the citizens now as today, not accepting what is being offered and doing the right thing in the interest of country and community?
I will always agree that citizens need to be more vigilant. Citizens need to be more circumspect. But citizens don't necessarily know, because of course we have a culture. Now, mark you, a lot of these young people have met these things. Their parents, their grandparents in this thing for a long, long time. That's all they know, right? So conscious groups sources, civic organizations, civil society organizations, conscious organizations, You Love Us movement, Foundation in Grenada, and so forth, need to begin to lobby and push for certain kind of reform. That must happen, right? So we need to have electoral reform. We need to have tighter legislation around election campaigning, because, as you rightfully said, lots and lots and lots, millions of dollars go into election time. For what reason? Only one reason is for bribe. That's the only reason. Because money equal vote. And then we have to ask, who are the persons underwriting? Who are the funders? We need to know who the funders are. So we need legislation that says political parties must report. But the thing about that, Loftus, the thing about that is that I might be the same in Dominica. You will tell me that I think it is after the writ is called, then political parties are obligated to declare the funding. Now, that is a problem, right? That's a serious problem.
We don't have that in Dominica.
We don't have that in Dominica.
Nope.
So the political parties don't have to declare the monies that they get?
Nope, not in Dominica, not as yet. There was talk of this in terms of reform campaign finance legislation, but that has not passed through Parliament. That has not been given the nod by the people in terms of our representatives and the citizens being engaged in that area. So no.
Okay.
Dominica is in a mess as it pertains to politics where money is concerned.
But it's a mess in Antigua too.
Let me tell you just before
Even though we have legislation, it's a mess.
Okay, let me tell you just before you go so you can get an idea of what we're dealing with. In the 2019 election, the money that was being touted about, spent by the Labour Party in Dominica, was 70 million EC dollars. That was the sort of largesse that I spoke of earlier that was being thrown at the Dominica people in many ways, shapes, and form. And that has not been disputed by the Dominica Labour Party. So up until now, that figure stands most likely to be true. So that gives you an idea what the people now are up against.
Yeah, it's not very different here in Antigua and Barbuda. There is legislation, and I said political parties are expected to declare the funding and who. I think is after the writ. Even with that, political parties don't report truthfully either, and they find very dishonest ways around even the reporting. So we have sometimes third-party persons. Listen to this one. We have persons who are accepting monies for political parties. That means that a lot of money is not reported because some third person the money is coming through a third person into the party.
Okay.
You see what I mean? So things need to be done. I suggest, and I've been suggesting, that because elections are critical to our democracy, because elections are very, very important, the funding of election ought to be seen very seriously, and to me ought to be borne by taxpayers. So I would suggest that political parties, whatever formula is used, that election be funded by the state. Political parties don't need millions of dollars to run anything. It's ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous. They don't need all that money. They don't need t-shirts. They don't need shoes. They don't need big billboard. They need to get their tail out on the ground and engage people in a way that people understand how the politics goes, that they present their plans. People have opportunities to engage with that, and then people are able to sit down in their quiet, process that, and come up with the good choice based on, whatever process they use. People don't need anything to sway them. That's what the money's for. And to that, we often don't think about this part, is that the people who give the money not giving money free. So all the funders are expecting that when you win, and let me say this too, the business people out there, just as the citizens that say, "Why are you giving me?" The business people say the same thing too. So the business people are out there looking at the political parties, sizing them up, and say, "I think that this party stands a 75% chance of winning. This person stands a whatever chance, and they're going to give them money." So you have business people giving two parties because either one wins, they expect to draw down. And the people need to understand that. These monies that are given by business people, business interest, are go into the t-shirt. That's what the people understand, that all they get is a t-shirt. All they get is a $50 or a light bill. But the funders get concessions after concessions into the 5 years. They get a lot of things. So people need to begin to understand how they are played in this political system. And oftentimes, even though they think they may get a ticket to go to one love concert, they may get that's just all they get, nothing else. Nothing else. So we need to understand that we can play politics very, very differently. We have an active role to play in our democracy as citizens. We have an active role to play in the development of our country, holding all our parties accountable, the ruling administration and the opposition, because oppositions need to show that they're worthy of your vote as well.
True.
Opposition does opposition's sake. And that's what we find. So we need also to begin to look at what opposition politics is as well in the Caribbean. Because sometimes it's antithetical to development too. It's not good. How we play opposition politics as well. So the people have all of that to look at. How do we understand ourselves as citizens? How do we want to engage in the political space? What are our individual inputs and collective inputs in democracy and into development? How do we get out of this hole that we're in?
You call it a hole.
Yeah, it's a hole. And we're getting deeper, like a sinkhole. Sinkhole, the more you wiggle, is the deeper you go.
Yes.
You see, it's right across the Caribbean. I will even talk about how different parties across the Caribbean collaborate with each other to hold power. That's another ridiculous thing.
True. I mentioned that about 2 weeks ago or sometime back on the program right here. This sort of cross-border coming together of different political parties to basically ensure.
And that's why they meet at CARICOM. They're not doing anything at CARICOM.
Yeah.
It's nonsense. And Caribbean people need to begin to tell our leaders it's nonsense. We're tired and fed up with the nonsense they do.
So whilst on one breath, these countries through their leaders speak of sovereignty. Here it is, when it comes to their interest in terms of the remaining on the backs of the people, then there's this intermingling.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. Cleon, thank you very, very much. I know there's more that you can say, but in the interest of time tonight,
I enjoyed it.
we have to sort of bring the curtains down in just a bit. Anything else on your mind you'd want to punch out there so that the listening and viewing public could digest before we say goodbye?
I started off by saying, as a citizen, you have a responsibility to do what you can with what you have where you are. And that is a simple message, and it is a profound message too.
True.
All of us have responsibility. All of us have things we can do. Just by being a good person is an input.
Mm-hmm.
Just by being a good worker is an input. Just by being a person of integrity is a good input. Just by being a good son, a good daughter is a good input. A good teacher input. A good neighbor input. Simple. So we can start simple. We can begin to work out from there. Because citizenship is a 24/7 thing. It is not just a one-time thing when you go behind because you sell a vote and you go to vote for your party who you think is going to do you favors for the next 5 years. It's something that we really have to begin to understand, work with people who are in our schools, in our churches, in our communities, our neighbors, and we can do things. Clean up your gap, sweep your yard, cut your hedge. Little things, little things, little things,
Yeah. So at
important things,
least started the little things, and the big
of
things will
course.
follow. They'll fall in line. Yeah, well, Cleon, thank you very much again on behalf of the many persons listening, viewing. We want to thank you for taking time off your Sunday and coming to speak to
Sunday
us,
well spent.
coming to discuss with us a topic that, you know, it's sort of taboo in certain areas. You'll hear some people, especially those in the political arena, sort of turning up their noses and saying, but why this lady is talking about this and talking about that? Don't she know that, you know, that's in norm and stuff like that? But, you know, in the interest
I
of
know.
the countries that we live in, for the region in particular, these conversations must be had. And so I want to thank you very much.
Yes, I enjoy myself talking with you all the time. And I don't mind speaking about difficult topics because somebody has to.
True, true.
Yeah.
And just before you go, Cleon, let me just tell you that you are one that always share positive sentiments on social media. I always look forward to your posts, your commentary, you know, I always look forward and take time to digest because
Thank
I know
you. Thank you. Thank you.
you are well sort out person in that department. You do just push things out there. So I want to thank you very much for that.
Yes.
Yeah?
Have a good one.
Yes. Have a good one. Thank you very, very much indeed.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Dominica. Bye-bye, Antigua. Bye. Good night.
Cool. Thank you. All right, folks, that is it in terms of the conversation here tonight. It is 20 minutes to the hour of 8 o'clock. Let us take a little break at this time, play music, play a song before I give you guys some of the parting words before I leave here tonight. Let's do this.
Be careful how you treat other.
Joy Stout, be careful how you treat other people. She did this one and cupped the Monarch last year.
Try again.
Yes, folks, be careful how you treat one another, huh?
Some people believe that they're greater than you and I wonder why. And they're getting on as though they will never die. Only you and I wonder why. Nothing here will last forever. This should serve as a reminder. All who playing holy and mighty, we can name their fame and their money. When the master called, no ducking at all, prepare for your funeral. The ground that we walking on, one day will be our roof. The ground that we walking on, one day will be our roof.
Yes, the ground that you're walking on today
there will be no
will be your roof, will be my roof tomorrow.
When the master call, when the master call.
So we got to be good and good citizens, as our guest basically told us a while ago.
When the master call, when you got to go, you got to go. No doctor can say no. I said the ground that we're walking on, one day will be.
To all of those of you who are still here with us, thank you very much for your eyes and ears. Brother Dupey, that is Sherlock Luciano Devin Dupey. Good evening to you, my bro. Always a constant listener and a viewer of Civic Vibes. Mr. Francis, that is Yasser Francis, Owen Prosper, Magdalene Augustine, Conrad Coffee, Brother Ferdinand Lawrence. Good evening to you guys. Carol Oliver Chibruni, good evening to you. Is Eliza Louis Gom, Everlasting Peter, Z. Lloyd.
Could be the world's richest tycoon.
And the host of you here.
Create all kinds of man-made disease.
At the eliminations last night, 12 Calypsonians made it to the quarterfinals.
No place to hide.
So congratulations to all the 12 who made it last night and those on reserve.
You could buy and trade the whole world. In the end, you
Those of you who did not make it, see you next year. Huh?
get it right before your final flight, cause later will be your flight. I steady ground that we walking on.
All those who contributed in one way, shape, or form to make the Calypso eliminations last night a success, thank you very much indeed.
On. One day will be a rule.
Mr. Peter Pross, good evening to you, my bro.
From sinful or holy.
And your co-host here.
When the master call.
You guys did an excellent job, huh?
For bachelor or master. When the master call. When the master call. When you got to go.
The judges as well, good evening to you.
Doctor can say no. I said the ground that we walking on. One day will be your rule.
Patrons, good evening to you.
How you treat other people.
Be careful, folks, how you treat other people indeed.
The ground that we walking on. One day will be your rule.
So, folks, again, I want to say thank you very much on behalf of Civic Vibes and the host of you out there. Thank you very much to Dr. Cleon Attila out of Antigua and Barbuda for being our guest tonight on that all-important conversation.
Would bear you when the master call. When the master call.
She did justice to the topic.
You got to go. No doctor can say no.
So see you guys in January 2026.
One day will be your rule. Be careful how you treat us.
The year was well spent if you, huh? Looking forward to 26. So on behalf of Alvin Thomas, who was not here with us tonight in the flesh, and the Civic Vibes team, see you guys next year, January 2026, when we most likely resume.
You could be the world's richest tycoon, be a skyscraper on the sun and moon, create all kinds of man-made disease, but God has the keys, and you must pay your fees. No place to run, no place to hide, and the great man don't accept bribes.
Again, if you're just tuning in at this time,
And trade the whole world.
in terms of the announcement, read the United Workers' Party's Delegates Conference
You better get
that was held earlier this afternoon at the Goodwill Parish Hall.
it. I said the ground that we walking on.
At that delegate conference, the delegates basically spoke by re-electing Dr. Thompson Fontaine by 8 votes to be their leader.
There'll be no
He got 83 votes, I'm being told,
holy when the master call.
whilst Dr. Randy Rodney got 75 votes.
Bachelor or master.
So again, Dr. Thompson Fontaine got 83 votes from the electorate,
You got to go. No doctor can.
or from the delegates rather,
I said the ground that we walking on. One day we'll be.
and Pastor Randy mustered 75. Let's hope,
Be careful.
in the interest of the United Workers' Party, that things will simmer down a bit and guys get to work in the interest of country and everyone involved.
And right.
We have as the deputy, the new deputy of the United Workers' Party, Mr. Ronald Charles, and the president, Mr. Claudia Sanford.
Call. No docking at all.
And I guess we'll know as time goes on the rest of the executive team.
On. One day we'll be your rule.
We have to do it together, people, to help save and salvage what is left of our country.
One day we'll be your rule.
So let's hope, yes, H-O-P-E, hope,
Exemption.
that things will simmer down a bit
Master call. When
and all hands on deck in the interests of country.
no judge could bail you when the master call. When the master call. When you got to go. You got to go. No doctor can careful how you treat other people. Oh, boy.
So, folks, yes, I got to go as well.
Right, people. Treat people right. Oh.
Not the go that Joy Stout is talking about, but I have to leave your space.
You could be
One more verse and I'm out.
the skyscraper on the sun and moon. Create all kinds of man-made disease. One could have the keys, and you must pay your fees. No place to run, no place to hide. And the great man don't accept bribes. You could buy and trade the whole world. In the end, you still lose the soul. You better get it right before your final flight, cause later will be your flight. I say the ground that we walking on, one day will be your rule. The ground that we walking on, one day will be your rule. There'll be no immunity from sinful or holy when the master